hope people can see me now. Hi. Make sure you comment when you come in. I think that some people are in the event page, which makes sense. I don't think it's working in the event page. So I'm on my main profile and I don't know if anybody is going to be able to see this. So I'm trying, sorry, I've been live for the last 18 minutes. I was using StreamYard, and for some reason, I was getting messages on my phone saying that, are you going live? So I think it was showing on my main Facebook profile, but it wasn't showing up in the event that I was live. So I'm gonna have to just start over. I'm trying to message just my sister really quickly because she was asking me what was going on. Just say hi as you come in so that I can see who's here, because I did have a couple people that said they were definitely coming, but sorry guys, I am trying to hey Kels, can you let Rachel and everyone know that I am live on my main. It won't let me onto it. It's not in the event, it's on the main profile page. But like I restarted it because I was on, oh, Rachel's here. So I did it through StreamYard and it was on my main so it's through my main profile, not through the event. Sorry, I've been talking for like 15 minutes, but I'm gonna start over because StreamYard wasn't working. All these crazy, like, cool technology things that are supposed to let you stream from all different places are more confusing, I feel like. So I'm just gonna stay on Facebook and save the video. Anyways, thank you for being here. I think there's still a couple more people that can't figure out, actually, Alex, can you text Ethan to tell Elisa that I am live? Because she just texted me. Just tell her that it's on my main Facebook profile, not in the event page. So most of you know me, because most of you are Facebook friends with me, but I do know that it's live public. So if there are people who do not know me, my name is Kristen. I am a mental health nurse and really have been trying for a couple years now to be able to leave the hospital bedside type of situation for good. Most recently in September, I've been a nurse for over 12 years. And most recently in September, I was actually hurt by a patient. So it kind of gave me the kick in the butt to actually do something more. I had already created my LLC and gone forward with, a website and certain things, but nothing seemed to just kind of come together. Either, I was getting in my own head and I wasn't moving forward with it, or I would start something but not finish it, or something in life, as it does, would happen, and I would just kind of, give up and be like, okay, maybe later. Just the last couple months, things have just started to fall into place better, in terms of clarity and ideas, and I have always been super passionate about helping other people through anything to do with mental health. But then when I went through my own divorce and had also gone through the divorce of my parents, it's obviously easier when you're not only educating and helping people about, something you've studied, but also something that you've gone through yourself. So that's kind of how it came to be, where I'm specifically talking about this subject. Again, most of you know me, but for those who don't, I'm a psychiatric registered nurse, graduated from nursing school in 2012. First, I went to school for my bachelor's in psychology and my master's in marriage and family therapy. I did not get my clinical, so I'm not actually a therapist. I have the credits. long story short, New York State was a mess and wouldn't let me go through with the clinical because the school was out of state. So I ended up pivoting. Many times I've been pivoting. I pivoted and I went back to school for nursing. So I have my associates in nursing. I did cardiac nursing for 2 years and then I went into psych nursing. So back up a little bit, just a tad bit of the summary of like, again, how this came about. So in 2005, is when I had first decided to go for my master's, and I had already known that things weren't necessarily as I thought they were at home. My parents always had a great marriage. Things just, I think, kind of started happening when I was gone away at college. So I had already, like I said, been studying psychology, and I dove into the marriage and family therapy piece. And maybe 3 months, I think it was. I think I started in the summer of 2005. 3 months later, I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, Kelsey. And I had been with my boyfriend for about 2.5 years. So as a Catholic, that was also a big thing because I, felt the guilt and the shame and all the things, but I got a beautiful, amazing daughter out of it. So 2005, I believe it was September. I don't know the exact date. Anyways, long story short, my boyfriend did not stay around. He left. I had Kelsey in March of 2006. And my parents started separating March of 2006 is when I had Kelsey. My dad's father, who was very close to me because I had been working for their business, passed away that June, just a couple months later. And then a month after that was when my parents started getting divorced. So it was a lot all at once. And as a brand new mom, I obviously, looking back, don't think that I truly grieved properly, I guess. It was a lot of just kind of pushing through, trying to just, keep going, obviously, for my daughter. And at that point, I was also, like I said, I was in my master's program. I continued my master's program. And ever since then, I really feel like it was just pivot. It's the name of my book. Pivot, next thing happens that was difficult, pivot again. And years later, I then found myself in basically just these like patterns of pretty, not all of them were toxic, but pretty bad relationships. And now that I'm out of that and looking back, I can see how much my repression, going through the grief journey, because divorce is the loss of a family. It's the breaking down of a whole family. It's just like a death. So, like I said, I lost my grandfather, my boyfriend left, my parents split up. Like these were like all grieving incidences all at once. And I wasn't able to get my footing enough to really, I guess, be able to gain that self-respect that I needed, since I was at the age of dating, marriage. So that's just a little bit about myself. I didn't come on here to talk about everything about me at all, but I think that it's important to understand like why I'm so passionate about this and why I want to help other people, because I then found myself divorced. I didn't have a very long marriage. And as a single parent, especially these days with the craziness of the world, it's very easy to then be worried that your kids are not going to know, what a really good relationship is. I was blessed to have a very, very amazing childhood. Like I saw a good marriage as well. Like I saw what it was to be all about family. So I had that base of a strong relationship, strong family that a lot of kids don't have. But I do think it's important to also recognize even just the research. I started researching this way back during my master's. I did some papers and projects about the differences between when kids are young and kids are older getting divorced. So some of the things that are important to know are just like anything in life. You can have two people in the same exact situation. So, for example, siblings, two siblings can go through the exact same grief, whether it's the grief of a parent or a grandparent or a divorce or a car accident, whatever it is. And, they can go through that same exact thing and experience it completely differently. And that's how it is with anything. That's how, hi, Elisa. That's what we see with anything of mental health, anything in nursing, honestly. If someone asks you to rate your pain at on a scale from 0 to 10, or rate your anxiety or depression like we do in the mental health world, rate your anxiety from 0 to 10, with 10 being a panic attack and 0 being you're completely fine. My anxiety, like I might say right now, like, oh my gosh, I'm at a 5. And you guys would be like, you seem fine. You're not at a 5. But like my 5 is different than someone else's 5. You have people who go through, something as terrible as abuse. And one person takes it and, uses it to become a motivational speaker. And the other person becomes addicted to heroin and can't leave their house. So I think that the point here is that I think the awareness of just how impactful something like divorce can be on any age of person, of child, or a lot of people I've heard, even like for the parents, for the people who are getting divorced, like I don't think anyone's ever said it to me, but like I've heard people say like, oh well, at least there was no cheating involved. Of course, cheating's terrible, but you don't know what actually was involved. I think a lot of people, what I'm hearing many times is, I've even talked to friends who like don't have a great marriage, and they've actually said to me, well, I wouldn't leave right now. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean you wouldn't leave right now? Like, you plan to leave later? And it's like, well, yeah, I don't know if my marriage is going to last, like, once the kids are older. And I'm like, that's not necessarily the answer. I don't think that divorce is the answer. I am not someone who pushes ever for divorce. I'm always one to try to save a marriage. But if you know in your heart of hearts that the marriage is over, it's not necessarily going to be better for anybody if you wait. So, if there's, 3 more years or something, and it also depends. Is there fighting involved? Is there not fighting? Do the kids know? Do they not know? Every situation is different, but I think that if the kids know that there's a problem, it might not be as big of a shock. I know that I was actually listening to a podcast about this subject, and they interviewed one kid who, I think the parents were divorced when they were 7. And the other one was pretty similar, honestly, to it was like my situation. Like, he was 25. He didn't have kids though. He was 25. He had a couple siblings. Parents never fought. There was no fighting or toxicity. And he said that he felt like there was this like feeling of like my life was a lie, because he was like, I thought my parents had a good marriage. I thought that this was how marriage was supposed to be. everything seemed fine. And then all of a sudden my dad left my mom, and it was like, I mean, it was a lot similar to like other things I've heard. I've had some friends who, I think there was one during nursing school, who was going through or had just gone through their parents' divorce. And she was even older than I was. And it depends on if the parents are amicable. You know, if both parents want it, are the parents talking? Are they not talking? Is it like awkward? Are they, you know, trying to still make things like work for the holidays, or is it totally just like all of a sudden cut off? I've known people on every single spectrum. The other thing, while listening to the podcast, that I was thinking about was as much like I'm someone who has a daughter that goes back and forth. It obviously is heartbreaking. It's terrible. You know, she has a hard time with it being at two different houses. But I also know that, I guess what I was thinking was like, okay, so if parents have not the best relationship, but the kids are still little, the co-parenting, as awful as it is at some points, does still kind of almost force the parents to have to at least like interact and go to the same things for the kid. So there's pros and cons to everything, just like there is anywhere. The research that I had to update some of the numbers because my original paper was from like, I don't know, 15 years ago, I think. And then there was another one about 10 years ago. But just since 1990, there have been, the amount of divorces of couples over age 50 has doubled. And over age 65 has tripled, which kind of was crazy to me. I don't think I realized that the age 65 was so much older. I guess maybe that's because like parents, I'm assuming it's because parents are getting, or people are getting, I can't talk tonight, sorry guys. People are getting married later than they were. So they're having kids later, I believe could be part of that. So that they're waiting till the kids are, they're waiting till the kids are out of the house, and that just happens to be, sorry, something, my eye. Okay. The people that are waiting for their kids to be out of the house, I think maybe just the parents are older when the youngest kid is out, is what I'm thinking. But it is just interesting that it's like tripled. That's really sad to me. I don't know. I think a lot of it's empty nest syndrome type of thing where like the kids are gone, the distractions are gone. So it's not even necessarily that they've planned to get divorced ahead of time, but once the kids are out, I think people just kind of realize that they aren't the same people that they were, and they maybe were so distracted with kids and with all the things in life that once the kids left, they're kind of just like, what are we doing? Which again is sad. I personally like think that, you know, there could be a way to rekindle. There could be many, you know, there's obviously therapies and retreats and like lots of things that can be done, which is, I guess, part of what I want to help. I want to try, and basically my model is going to be like this family model. So my main focus is going to be the people like me who are second generation divorce, how to teach our children what a good relationship is, how to, honestly, I use like the love languages, are like central, honestly, to not just like me with my kids, but like I talk about it a lot, on like when I do like Instagram lives and stuff. It's, the love languages are not just for couples, they're also for your children. And I think that that's really important to understand, like, especially when you're going through the divorce or after the divorce, is like, I just said the other day to my younger daughter, I said, you know, I was kind of like, I got angry. She was like in a bad mood, and I kind of had to take a step back, and I have to kind of check myself a lot, because, you know, we all hold our own grief, or the way that we react to things, or the feelings that we have from our past. And sometimes we really have to stop and like collect ourselves and pray. And it kind of just hit me the other day. I was like, okay, hold on a minute. Like, she's in a bad mood. She's a preteen. She's a girl. She's in middle school. She's a kid going back and forth. She's had a couple things that have happened recently that are very upsetting to her. Just people that she can't see anymore and stuff. And that's huge. And I think that a lot of times parents, both before, during, and after divorce, are so caught up, not on purpose, with their own stuff, their own emotions, their own grief, their own hurting, court, whatever it is that's going on, that the kids kind of get like left in the dust, no matter what age it is. Again, if it's not a younger kid, you know, at least, I think my daughter, the younger daughter actually said, she's like, well, you know, at least you could like leave. And I'm like, I couldn't though, really. Like, I personally had just moved home because I had just been a brand new mom. I could have left, but I wasn't gonna, because I also felt like, you know, I had a really good relationship with both my parents. I was actually living there when the divorce happened. So I was living in the house and then also working with the other parent. And I tried my hardest always to, you know, keep my same relationship with both parents. And again, everyone's different. So, you know, some kids are going to be more hurt than others. Some kids are going to be able to separate more than others. They, you know, have different types of support systems. I just happen to have, you know, a couple really good friends that I was able to, I guess, like cling on to. But I know that a lot of people don't have that, that both with my own divorce and when I, you know, was having a baby. Luckily, our family is like, in general, like our whole family, our extended family, like, have been very supportive. But I still don't think that some people realize the monstrosity of divorce when the kids are older. Like, I just think that there's also like the shock and the shame, and when the marriages are longer before they break up, there's more of this, you know, like, what are people going to think? So there's this extra guilt that that older couples will feel. They're going to feel like embarrassed. And then there's this whole, you know, they've been together for 15 to 30 years or whatever. You know, it's like, okay, so then you're losing an entire group of friends, an entire family. You have to redo traditions. You have to redo holidays. And I think that the biggest issue at this point truly is just that it's like becoming more common, but people still aren't talking about it. There's still not enough support. And I'm actually, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I started out writing a book, but it kind of just kept getting put to the side, and it didn't start out being what it has become. Basically what it is it started out with me writing kind of like a little bit of my story. And then when I was going through some of my own stuff in the past couple years, I started journaling while I was in adoration. and I started going to adoration and confession like every week. And it's now kind of become this, I don't even know, God's masterpiece of whatever popped into my head, I guess. And I'm realizing now that like a lot of, like everything that I do, like every chapter, is basically a different pivot point of something that, you know, happened, and I had to kind of like restart or reset or stop myself and figure out what to do. But it really all stemmed from that one part of my, not the divorce, not like, I'm not saying it all stemmed from the divorce, but because of the fact that, like I said, I lost my grandpa and the divorce, and I had a kid, and then I had my own divorce. And I think that until my divorce finalized in 2017, and then I was like, I haven't seriously dated at all since the divorce, but I wasn't making the smartest of decisions, which is why I started going back to church all the time, going to confession. And until my ex took me back to court in 2022, I truly don't feel like I really, really grieved anything of my whole adult life until then. And it just kind of all came out into my journal and Facebook posts, and whatever else happened is now becoming a book. So only in the last week or so did I determine that I definitely want to niche down and work specifically with the people that have dealt with like, you know, a divorce later in life, or who are second generation divorce, because I'm realizing just how needed it is, how much people don't talk about it. I planned to also have you guys like talk or comment and ask questions, and I want to give as much like research based stuff as possible, but I don't want to keep everyone really long tonight. I just kind of wanted to give everyone an overview, get some feedback. I am going to repost this, but I'm supposed to be, I say supposed to be because I'm trying to self-publish, and this is like a bigger project than I would have liked, but I'm supposed to be publishing the book, releasing it on May 15th, which is my grandfather's birthday and the day that I graduated nursing school. So I am humbly asking that when I post about that, if you guys would share, that would be helpful, because I'm definitely not a good marketer. I'm trying. I have a business mentor trying to help me market, but as you guys heard, I tried StreamYard and that's not working. So me trying to link sales pages and market websites and stuff is not great, and I think that that's something that has held me back in the last couple years from actually like moving forward with stuff. So if I have people that would help share my book posts and stuff, if you guys know anybody who would be interested, I'm trying to do, well, I am doing, but I'm trying to like get some people that would be interested in doing an 8-week, basically like coaching session, starting in May, because I'd rather have, you know, kind of like what they call it, all these, you know, these marketing terms, an evergreen, where I can, you know, then use those later as a course, but also offer one-on-one, like coaching and advocacy as well. So if you guys know of anybody who is struggling with this type of thing, is going through their own divorce right now, or was recently through a divorce, seems to not be moving past it, or I think I started saying that my model, I obviously am very disorganized and might have ADHD, I'm not sure, but My model is a full family model, although I'm mostly concentrating on people that are like in the middle. So, you know, second generation divorce, people that are more like aligned with where I am, or where I was 10 years ago. But I'm also offering help and support for kind of like this like full circle. So, you know, if there's people in a support group who are where I am, and I'm one who has my own divorce and had a parent divorce, but then there's also maybe a 67-year-old who's, you know, recently been divorced, and they're struggling to have boundaries set with their kids because they don't know how to do this. You know, that person would also benefit because they would hear from me or from other people, like, you know, maybe what to do, what to say to have a better relationship. I know, Lisa, it's so bad. I didn't think I had ADHD, and then like nursing school and working as a nurse, like people would just be like, "Are you okay?" No, I'm not okay. I was gonna make a whole bullet point list of stuff, and then I didn't, so this is why. But so even if if you guys know of somebody who is a kid right now, like going through a divorce with their parents, I mean, I don't know, any age, but I'm mostly aiming at like the teenage age. I'm also, you know, totally willing to take that age as well. So I just really wanted to kind of get some feedback about honestly, what people like and don't like about this business model. And I just feel like there's a lot of research just showing how much this type of support is needed. And I think that the amount of people who don't get the support, not even right when they're going through it, but just years later. So, like I said, not ready quite yet to actually launch the book. I'm going to be doing some pre-sales and stuff. But I am ready to start signing people up for the 8-week group. It's going to be group and private coaching, like a mix, like a hybrid model. So if you guys do know of anyone that would be interested in that, definitely send them my way. Oh my gosh, listen, I'm going to be honest with you guys right now. At least you're going to laugh at me. Kelsey did my lashes when we went to, because I was meeting Carrie Underwood. And I was like, well, my lashes can't be like blonde and tiny next to Carrie Underwood. And so then I took them off and I was like, no, I want them back on. And I think that this one's falling off. So don't mind me because I'm not used to these things. But anyways, if you guys hear of anybody who might be interested in coaching or even just like a consultation, on my website it says that our consultations are 20 minutes, but I'm also going to be doing, if they just want a half an hour for free, like that's what I'm doing for right now. But since I'm just launching everything in May, the pricing will be like way down from where it's going to be, because I do want to be able to basically like test run this program and be able to tweak it, and people will have to put up with my ADHD, but I promise it'll be different because I'm going to have actual program outlines. So that is a whole different thing than me just going live and talking at you. But I thank you all for being here, and Does anyone have any, I don't know, feedback? Like, you can be mean if you want. I don't really care. What do you think? What do you think about this? People who've dealt with divorce, did anything like resonate with you? Like I said, it was kind of crazy to hear the podcast that I was listening to. It was actually earlier today because I just wanted to see if there were any podcasts out there that were specifically about this. The podcast itself wasn't, but the episode was. And when this guy came on, he was like, I'm 25 and my parents are just getting divorced and I never knew that they had a bad marriage. And I feel like I had like no idea this was going on. And I feel like I'm living a lie. And it was like really crazy because I think as much as it's happening, like I said, you don't necessarily hear people talking about it. So to have that same, like I've definitely said that exact same thing. I think a lot of people do when their parents get divorced. Like even if the parents' relationship was toxic and they were fighting all the time, I think you get to a certain point where you're like, whatever, like they're just going to stay married, you know? So then when they actually get divorced, you're like, wait, what? That's crazy. But when you come from like a really good, strong, happy family like mine, it really does make you kind of question a lot. Like, you know, like what about all of the family trips that we went on and all of the times that we had family parties and everything was totally normal. But I think that the other thing, and as you said that, Elisa, I was just, this other thing resonated with me. So even if you weren't an adult when your parents got divorced, there's also like adult children of divorce, meaning like now they're adults. They were kids when their parents got divorced. But I don't think people like even realize like how much stuff still happens. Like I'm guilty of it. I'm going to be guilty of it. Like I know, like my ex and I don't get along well. And I know that my daughter forever is going to be feeling like she's walking on eggshells because you just do automatically. I still sometimes do. And it's not my parents' fault. It's like also like internally, you're like, you don't ever want to like pick one or pick the other or hurt one person's feelings and for, you know, have one person come and not the other. Like, and like I said a lot with like the family, you know, to have this whole side of the family that you just don't see anymore. For me, it wasn't that crazy, because like I was only with my ex for, well, from start to finish, dating to divorce was like 7 years. So I mean, 7-year itch, I guess. But even if the parents got divorced when the kids were little, like it's just like any grief. Like it doesn't just go away. My daughter is 19. So my parents got divorced 19 years ago. And my grandfather died 19 years ago. And you can bet that I still go to the cemetery and bawl my eyes out because that's just grief. It hits you when you don't expect it. And sometimes it's not worse when they're still alive, but it's like you're still dealing with it on a daily basis. And I know, Elisa, like we've talked about this before, like how you can just like I said, it can be awkward, or it can feel like you're not really sure what to say if you're going to hurt someone's feelings. And I think it's really important. I mean, I am someone because of all this, like, I have made it a point to be very open about this with my parents. And I think a lot of parents and children don't necessarily do that, I think, maybe. I don't know. I was reading a book and doing the research and stuff when I was in my master's, and like there were a bunch of case studies, and obviously like cheating and stuff is a whole other thing, and like the amount of, you know, kids that just completely stopped talking to one parent, like took one parent's side over the other. And I always tried so hard. It wasn't that hard for me because I'm close with both my parents, but I was always trying so hard to stay so neutral, and that's so difficult to do. But anyways, my mission is to help the next generation. That's my main mission. My main mission is to help the next generation by me being a better person, by helping other people be better people. I'm going through, for those who don't know what it is, Rational Emotive Behavioral Therapy, REBT. Like I'm doing a coaching certification program for that. Like that's the main model that I'm going to be using, because so much of it is, you know, taking an irrational thought and like switching it, and taking things that have happened to you and applying them productively, instead of being like, well, you know, I should go to this family party because people will like wonder if I don't go. And it's like, you have to live your life. You have to set boundaries. If you don't feel like it's appropriate for you to go because of something that's going on in your life, or there's someone there that is stealing your joy, you know, you might need to sit it out once in a while, and that's okay. And especially while you're going through divorce or whatever. I know at one point, I think everyone in my family has been like, I really don't feel like seeing people today. Like, we're going through a big thing. Like, you don't want people to be like, oh, I heard, like, you know, sometimes you just got to stay home and find the people that will be there no matter what. Don't isolate yourself. I'm not saying to isolate, but, you know, stay home, do something productive, go for a run, go for a walk, journal. Journaling has helped me immensely. And it's so funny because as a mental health nurse, I feel like we're always like, you should journal, but like it really truly is helpful. Listening to music is huge. Like, Kelsey, if you're still on, like, you just gotta rock out to some Taylor Swift sometimes. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching. I know it's been pretty long because I keep talking. I can keep talking. But that is all I ask, is just for you guys to continue sharing whenever you can, once I do launch this stuff. And immediately, like I said, immediately send people my way if they, my little light turned off, my fancy light that I have. I'm trying to be so fancy. But anyways, May 1st is my first 8-week cohort that I am starting. And this is my other thing. I understand what it's like to be somebody who wants to do something, wants to work on myself, wants to start a business, but maybe can't invest what I want to. I have a price point on my website, but if you know somebody who truly needs this, especially if it's like a referral, like if you guys tell me that you're sending me somebody, I don't know if my friend Chris is still on, but he and I were talking about this because he was like, I know that you want to be able to offer this to people who can't necessarily like afford a program all the time. But if I, you know, have some people who can't afford it, like I am able obviously to adjust pricing. So if you see my website or they see my website, I don't want people to not reach out just because of financial reasons, because I would do it for free to help people. That is the thing. Like, I will get enough money from someone else, you know, once this one first 8-week is up, like the prices will get raised. Like it's fine. Don't turn people away because of that. So that's all I wanted to say. I think a lot of times everything's about money, and this isn't about money. This is about wanting to help people. As much as I have to pay my bills, I just don't want people to not do this for that reason. So anyways, thank you guys so much. And I hope that this gave people insight to something. And I'll talk to you later. Have a good night.